Back, everyone. Scootsy16 here with another episode of the Chem Lock League, and the Tundra's just lost in the championship round, and I'm not sure if we can run it back. I feel like that was lightning in a bottle that we had last, but I am definitely going to try my hardest. So that's where we find ourselves in the middle of the off season here, just looking to enhance this team. Now, as you saw, as I did, a quote unquote pack poll at the end of the last video, I'm not really excited about the options that are available to us. And after doing a lot of math and tinkering with a potential future lineup, I have a plan in place, but I don't know if I'm fully excited about it. I feel like there's opportunity, but I don't know if this is a better team than what we had last year, and I want to hear your feedback as we get to the end of this video. But just so that you are aware, we're planning to make about 4 moves on offense and about 5 moves in the pitching staff. And some of them are going to be a bit controversial, but to make this all work, I had to make some tough decisions. I did also go through and inspect the rookie class here. There will be a total of 33 rookies coming in. Of those 33, 24 are position players and only 9 are pitchers. There are 11 players that are under the age, or that are 25 or under, and there are 12 players that are 30 years old or older that are in the rookie player pool. So again, like we've seen over the last few seasons, just not great options available to us. Now, there are 12 players that are B rating or better, but there's also 11 players that are C rating or worse. So nearly 1/3 of the player pool is either 30 years old or older, or C rated or worse. Now, there could be some overlap there. Could be B rated or higher that are older than 30 and all that, but a third essentially is what we're ruling out due to either age or rating. So that makes it really difficult for us to enhance this team with younger players. Now, I don't know how I'm feeling about this series at this point with how much we've seen struggles and we've seen random successes here and there. I am going to go through this season. We'll see how it turns out. And I also want to peek and see what the next incoming free agent class is. But if we find ourselves with another lackluster free agent class, I might go with a different approach to either the Tundra's series or the Chem Lock in general. Might generate a new player pool. Maybe I'll keep a couple of players from this player pool and roll them over. But a quick note as we got into the end of this video, we did pay Zeke Price and we did pay Ellen Booth to stay on the team. And so because we're paying them more, it's going to make it harder for us to fit the rest of this team together and find the right players to keep. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm actually going to start with the pitching staff because that's where we're going to see the most changes. Now, we all know the struggles we saw in the starting rotation, and we just could not get it right last year. And so we're going to make a couple of changes. There's going to be one new starter in the starting rotation, but I'm enhancing the bullpen a little bit, which I think was our strength. I might be doing too much here, but I don't know. I'm just going to deal with it here. So here's what's going to happen. The starting rotation is going to continue to have Wankerstein and McBiddles. I know, I'm not excited about it either. Also, Tenley Knight is going to stay. We're going to be bringing her back, and she is going to be our number 4 pitcher. Now, Gage is not going to stay. Instead, we will be replacing him with Everett Callahan. He is a 30-year-old, not a rookie, and he will be competitive with a good arsenal, decent velocity and accuracy, and low junk. Metalhead won't matter too much, although I guess it kind of would, because we've had a lot of players get hit by pitches, unfortunately. So Everett Callahan is going to be our number 3 or maybe number 2 starter, depending on how we feel about McBiddles, but I'm hoping for a bit of an improvement from Connor this year. Don't know if we'll really be able to expect that, but the pitching options in the starting rotation were abysmal, and everything was either too expensive or just wasn't going to fit our team chemistry. So I'm not happy about our rotation, but let's turn to the bullpen, where we're going to be making some enhancements as well. Now, I like Magnus Rivas. We've barely used him, and I think we can reallocate these dollars a little bit more appropriately somewhere else. Now, the problem here is that there's going to be a casualty, and it's Holden Stiff Bottom. I love this guy. He's one of my favorite players on the team. He's pitched so well for us, but him being a lefty along with Booth is counterproductive. He's also 31. And again, Rally Stopper. I think him having Rally Stopper isn't the greatest. It's not the worst by any means, but instead, I think we can go a bit of a different route. And while we get rid of Magnus Rivas, we're going to move on from Holden Stiff Bottom for Horse Mustard, who is a multi-time All-Star. He is about the same age. He has 3 pitches, but he's a long reliever, and he's a righty, and he has K Collector. So this is where I'm most excited. I think we can potentially see him do what Stiff Bottom did, but have a little bit more stamina, and hopefully help to offset the weaker starting rotation by having him come into a few more games as well. So I'm really sad about this one. I want to hear your thoughts on whether you think this is worth the move to move on from Stiff Bottom, but in my eyes, I think it is. We'll be paying about the same amount of money to do this move. And instead of Rivas, we will be going with a familiar name you've recognized before. Ezra Wong will come back to the team. He is very affordable, and that who is going to be the weakest pitcher in our bullpen. So, and there is one more move to fill in the spot that Ashlyn Fry vacated when she left the team. We're going to be bringing in, again, another player that I'm like iffy about. It's going to be Smash Nolan here. So Smash, 37 years old, which is my biggest concern. We get the lefty back, so that'll be our second one in addition to Ellen Booth, but he's a specialist. So lefty specialist in the bullpen. I think that's something that we can benefit from. 75 junk is really solid, and solid accuracy as well. I was looking at Pop Goodwin. I really wanted that K Collector in the bullpen, but the lower accuracy was a bit of a drawback, and the spirited chemistry, just I could not get it to fit as much as I wanted. So Smash will be our he essentially replaces what Magnus Rivas was. Maybe he gets in there a little bit more, but our bullpen will be Horse Mustard, then Ellen Booth, then both Smash Nolan and Quincy healthy, and then we have Ezra Wong at the bottom of the bullpen, who should only be used in a few random spots. I think that's pretty solid, and that rounds out the pitching staff. So now let's turn to the offensive side of things, and let's see what we're going to do. So we're going to actually bring back Brock Valencia. We were just overpaying him a little bit, so I'm going to try and get us back to that 10.1, which is what he's worth. Next, we're going to actually make a change at our backup catcher. Instead of Beal, who I thought did a really great job, and I really enjoyed the Tier 3 clutch behind the plate, Aliva Bridges here is about the same price, but it's spirited instead of competitive, which is what we needed for chemistry. She's also 22, and she brings in RBI hero, so contact is lower than I'd like, but with a little bit of natural development, because we won't be able to spend money this year, I'm hoping that she can be serviceable behind the plate with a solid arm as well. First base, we're going to have a new first baseman this year, and no, it's not going to be Brock Kramer. It's going to be Leonidas Mahoney. He is a rookie at 31 years old, but he is a B, and I'd say a pretty respectable hitter. He'll have Tier 3 first pitch slayer as well as Tier 3 sign stealer. I'm not a fan of either of these pitches or traits, but as far as our options were concerned, Mahoney was really the viable solution there. We could potentially save a little bit more money in going back to Jacques Dennis, but after his lackluster playoff performance and how bad he was for most of the season, also being 39 years old, I think I'd rather go the route of Mahoney, but depending on price, and we're pinching every penny this year, we might have to pivot down to Jacques Dennis. So we'll see. We go to second base. It's still gonna be Dennis Shoei. He's gonna stay in or on the team with his Tier 3 clutch. I'm just hoping for an upgrade from him. Third base and shortstop will remain the same as well, with Finley and Guevara. And then our back end of our infield is going to stay the same with Mark McKenzie and Christian Black. Now, this is where It's been really tough because I'd want a better hitting option. Christian Black, more of the viable defensive candidate, and Mark McKenzie just kind of speed and second base only. Um, but we're saving so much money with them that I can't really afford to make a change to anybody else because it would absolutely be a downgrade if we were to go that route. So I'm most concerned about our DH spot in the on this team next year. So we'll see how that ends up playing out. But going to the outfield, we will have a proper outfielder this time, or left fielder this time. We're going to be bringing in Colin Madd. He is also a rookie. I'm hopeful for him this year because he has tier 3 power versus righties, which will boost his weakest attribute, his power. That's from the left side. He's 25 years old. Really solid contact, good speed. I think he'll hold his own in left field. That's going to be our primary big addition on the offensive side of things. We'll have Zeke Price staying in center field, and in right field, unfortunately, we're going to have to keep Get Wrecked. There's just not an option that's available to us that we can afford. I just want him to have a big season and just finally go off. I don't know if that'll ever happen. And that's going to really do it for changes because Corona's going to stay on the team, as well as Demi Trampelson, who is respectable as a starter when necessary. So we can always move around, Get Wrecked where maybe Finley's not having a great time, or if our first baseman Mahoney is struggling, then we can move Get Wrecked wherever we need to and still have a solid starter and right in Demi Trampelson. So like I said, this isn't very exciting to me, but I think this is going to be the best we can do with the options that we had. I even looked at the idea of potentially moving on from Dennis Shoei, since we're paying him 12-2. That's a lot of money, and he's disciplined, so I considered our other options. There just really isn't a good choice out there. Another player I really wanted to make work was Abet Paul. She's 25, and look how good she is, with no traits, too. So her development could have been amazing, but it would have required us getting rid of one of our best players, and I just didn't think that it was worth it. It was a tough call. I'd love to hear your thoughts on our options here and what you think about this team as we play through this. But the scariest part is we have to be very tight on our budget, and so I can't overspend really on any players outside of what I've already factored in. And with the math that I've done, we're sitting at about 0.2 in surplus after I'm done here. So this is with a few older players paying a little bit less for them if we can get them to that point. And this means that we're going to have to be making some tough decisions and maybe advancing an extra round where we wouldn't normally want to do that. So we'll start by just peeking at the asking and valuation to make sure that nobody that we are interested is even close to that, which no, Tenley Knight at 12 is the next closest. So let's go ahead and sim about, I think, 7 rounds and see where we're at there. All right, so we're already seeing some moves being made here. These are players that are already been sitting on the free agent pool for a while. And no moves for 7 rounds. All right, just a quick peek to see where we're at. And I still don't think we're really close at all. Yeah, Tenley's at 2.4. Everybody else is way up there. Okay, so let's go ahead and go another 2 rounds, I think. Mayo, Carney, or Carno Cherry. A couple of people getting released here. Ooh, a rally. Oh, Les Christensen. I think he's crafty. 34 years old, still going strong out there in, remember in the bullpen, we saw him in the first year. I think he was even with the team for a little bit. I'll peek at him here in just a second. Also liked Marker Carr, but again, he just doesn't have, he's scholarly, so we really couldn't make that work, and he'd have to be a backup option, and it would be spending too much money there. All right, I am curious about Christensen.
Can't decide whether you're more hungry or thirsty?
Where you at?
Cover all the bases.
There he is.
So
he's spirited. And right now, we don't have a spirited player in the bullpen at all. It would require us making an alternative move, which right now I probably won't be doing. Fuller, how has he pitched? Yeah, he was on the team the first year, and he got 1/3 of an inning. And then he pitched for the Firebirds in minimal time, did great in season 2, and that was about it. So I'll probably hold off, but we can look to make that pivot later if we feel it's necessary. I will go ahead and peek here again. And yeah, we're still way ahead. So probably round 10. Oops, wrong button. Connolly was kind of looking at her. I wish she was younger and I probably would have considered her, but she was disciplined. And then at round 10. So let's go ahead and see, make sure that our players that we're interested in aren't at their price point yet. Actually, I will just do this. Yeah, we're still a couple of rounds away here. Tenley's at 1 million. And nobody else that we're looking at is even close either. And the highest rated player, I think, that we are looking to target is Mad and Valencia and Mustard. And they are all 1-1, 1-1, 1-2. Okay, so let's go another round. Actually, 2 rounds here. Finley Curtis gets brought in by the swoop, so he goes to the other conference, which is really nice. We won't have to worry about seeing him. And check. Brock is at 0.5 over. Horse is at 0.6 over. And Colin 0.5. And honestly, they're all older. I'm planning to bring them in at their price. So we're going to have to make some tough decisions here. And I'm really scared about Brock Valencia because he's our guy. Ugh, man, this is stressing me out. Okay, let's do this. Next round. My world is falling apart. Those are the 2 best catchers in the player pool right there that just got signed. And Brock just went to the Colossus. Shit. Andy is competitive, which means we have to make another move. This is bad. Todd Gonzalez is not great. He's older. Cameron Todd doesn't have good arm. Price. Oh shit, this is bad. Oh Jesus, do you see our catching options? And I don't know if there's Chandler. Well, I think Chandler here might be our starting catcher this year. Which saves us a ton of money. Which actually allows us to potentially consider some other options. So let me make a quick move here. So we're going to have a starting right fielder be our starting catcher. That's not ideal. I'm going to have him go another round before we bring him in. That puts us at 4 million in surplus, so we can either stick with what we've done here and make sure that we give ourselves a little bit of wiggle room, or we could potentially spend a little bit more, but there's not a way we can spend in the areas that we want to. All right. Boy, that is really upsetting. Collins at 0.3. I think he's probably going to be brought in now. So I'm just going to spend the money. 10.7 is what he wants to get paid. Let's sign him. We'll replace Rubio. And I probably need to bring in Mustard now, too. Horse is at 9.8. I'm going to go one more round. We'll figure it out if we need to. All right. So we brought in Colin Mad. That was our first signing of the year. Tuna Von Crum was interesting, but couldn't afford him. Ashlyn Fry's gone. Wait, Ashlyn goes to the Woodsmiths. Wow, they're spending some good money here. And Elena Flowers. They went with 2 long relievers. I bet Paul goes to the Colossus. Holy moly, the Colossus are going to be terrifying this year. I don't even want... I want to look at that team after we're done here, but that's scary. All right. So let's go down to Horse because we're probably going to have to bring him in right now. 9-6. That's fine with me. Let's bring him in. He's going to replace Heldon Stiff Bottom, so we'll say goodbye to our king. This one's a sad move, but I think it's going to be good for us. I think it's going to pan out in the long run. We're going to bring Bridges down to maybe one more round here before we sign her. Leonidas Mahoney, I'm going to have him go another round here. That's all of our options here. I'm going to go one more round on base as well, or Bass. Bass. We'll have him signed in the next round, I think. Actually, I probably don't even want to mess with this. We're just going to bring him in now. He's going to replace Valencia. Oh, God, this sucks. I'm so upset. I love Brock so much. Chandler, you have some big shoes to fill. I can't believe I did that. I really thought he was going to last another round. You think you know this game, you know? All right, so we have Callahan at 0.1 over. I'm going to give him another round here. It's Henley Knight, same thing. Probably going to get her around 5 million before I bring her in. And Smash is 37, so we have some breathing room for him. Ezra Wong, we're going to save some money with him as well. So let's go ahead and go around another round here. Hopefully nobody else gets brought in. So upset. Let's see, who do they go? Jackson Pugh goes to the War Wagons. They also bring in Pavlova Harrison. Watch her have an insane year. We could have had her. Ali Magana here was a guy I was really interested in, but he was so expensive. Couldn't make it work on in our starting rotation. He was scholarly, I think. Hamza Barron was. Doug Cruz was a rookie. But with Meltdown, I'm like, I'm not going to spend that much money on a 27-year-old rookie that has Meltdown. It was really, really tough to make some of these calls. And yeah, I kept seeing Cameron, but he has crossed up at tier 3, and he's not a good pitcher for 9 million. It's all about his speed and his contact that drives up his rating and cost. All right. Bridges is at 3.6, so we can bring her in. She's just below her price point, and that'll be a savings of 0.1 million for Beal here. So, and we get a lot younger. I'm fine with this move. Pretty much the same contact, much better power, and has the RBI hero. About the same arm, much weaker fielder, but I think that'll be manageable. So we save a little bit there. Goodbye to Patrick Beal. We appreciate your hard work. Mahoney, I'm going to go one more round here. I want to get him close to 7. And that's the offensive side. And then we have Callahan is at 7.3. I wanted to get him to 7. Same with Tenley Knight. And Smash was aiming, or Smash Nolan about 6.2 is what I'm aiming for. Ezra around 4. So let's go ahead and go one more round. I'm really playing with fire here with how tight our budget is. I liked Shavewell, but I like Zeke Price more. Let's see. Rubio goes to the Nocturnals. He'll be in the other division, thankfully, or in the other conference, thankfully. Proctor goes to the Cutters. And that's it there. So, let's see. I can't believe we're doing we have an alternative option at catcher. God, I'm so upset. All right, so Mahoney comes in. He is going to be our starting first baseman, replacing Jacques Dennis. Next is in the starting rotation, Callahan at 7-1. I'm going to wait one more round. Nolan at 6.5. I want to get him down a little bit more. And Wong, I'm actually fine with bringing in at 4-1 now. So let's go ahead and bring him in to replace Ashlyn Fry. Or wait, Rivas. All right. We'll do one more round here. We have Case Barnett going to the Chompers, so we'll have to face him this year. Drew Dropkin going to the Cutters, so he stays in the division. Micah Luna, I don't know if I'm necessarily threatened by him. Butter Summers is a clutch closer going to the Rakers. And who's this? Oakley Leach. Interesting option going or dropping into the free agent pool. We'll look at him in just a second. Stein, Santiago. All right. Milan Tirehead goes to the Swampers. Good luck to him. Kramer goes to the Rakers, so we're going to have to see him twice, at least. Let's see. Anybody else? Lindsay was another guy I really wanted to bring in as our starting third baseman. He's going to go to the Burners. Owens goes back to the Foresters. I think that's where he was before, or he was on the Rakers. Rakers get Costa as well. Thought about bringing her in. All right. Any other moves? Ooh, who's this? Graham Huff gets dropped by the Swoops. Ooh, interesting option with RBI Hero. Let's go take a look at him really quick. So who was the two that we just saw that we were thinking about? I already forgot. Well, one of them was Graham Huff here. He's crafty. Crafty would only be able to replace Trampleson unless we did an alternative move. So here's where I'm thinking we could... What if we brought him in? He's 31, so we could probably get him down to the 7.6, which is how much we're paying Get Wrecked. We could bring in Graham Huff as our starting center fielder, move Zeke Price over to right field as our starting right fielder, and then we just need to replace a crafty player with a spirited player. And that might be tough. Oh, that would... Oh, actually, that would be if we went from Smash Nolan over to Pop Goodwin. So we could go from Smash here to Pop. We would lose our lefty in the bullpen, though. And we would go from Specialist to K Collector, and we would drop a ton of accuracy there. Like, have gets ahead at Tier 1, which is only plus 12. Smash. I think I'm going to keep him. What else do we have? We were looking to get rid of a Spirited for a Crafty, right? Third base. What do we have at third base? We have... Wait. No. I'm sorry. We need to get a Spirited. We need to replace a Crafty. Crafty option would be Mackenzie in the... We could probably make this work. So we need Spirited. We need a... Ooh, guys. I think we could potentially bring Jacques Dennis back and replace Mark McKenzie. But that would be all. That would pretty much be all of our money. Let's see. Other Spirited options on the infield. Right now we have Christian Black, who could play third and short. And yeah, our infield, and we have Zeke, who could move around if necessary. So if we really need to, we could put Trampleson in right. We could put Huff in center field, and we can move Zeke to the infield wherever we potentially needed to do that. We have the right side of the infield covered. It'd be the left side the left side of the infield covered. It would be the right side. We may have an issue at first or at... actually, Huff can play first, can't he? Where are you at? Graham Huff can play first base, so we could always put him over there if necessary. Or he could be our starting first baseman with Mahoney being the DH. And then we would just need somebody who could also cover second base when in a pinch. And that could be Zeke, which would feel wasted. All right, so that's the only thing, is if we were to lose Dennis Shoei, we would need somebody who could cover second base. Because remember, we're getting rid of Get Wrecked if we make this move here. So we probably need someone at least who can play second base, but not necessarily a starting second baseman. And they have to be spirited. So who do we have that's spirited here? We have Cameron Russell. Would be probably too expensive. Oh, can only play third, actually. What am I doing? All right, here we go. Makai Norwest. I think he'll be way too expensive. We won't be able to get him at the price we need him to. So we move down to Cameron, who can only play third. Whitaker can only play third. Sandman can play second, but would be way too expensive. Nope. To Andre Staniels. Brecken. Leach can only play short. Alejandro Paul. 3 million. I was also interested in Royce Howell here, but he is crafty. So he would have been a 1-for-1 move for Mackenzie if we were doing that one. But since we have to switch, I think Paul would be the best candidate for us as our bench bat, or a bench second baseman. But this makes me feel a lot better about our. Actually, I'm like leaning more into if we put Graham Huff at first base or DH, we can keep Zeke in center field, and we can put Mahoney into the DH spot instead of making him our starting first baseman with his really, really terrible fielding. But if we do that, then that just means that Demi Trampelson is going to continue to be our starting right fielder, which I think is fine, but of course not ideal. Chandler Base can play right field, which isn't a bad option as a starting right fielder, but he has to be our starting catcher because Oliva Bridges probably isn't going to be someone we can rely on. Maybe she ends up doing okay. So we are going to all of that, and now I've lost track of where we were. I'm probably going to get rid of Amos Getrek now, just so everyone knows. Bring in Paul, maybe go one more round on him. Graham Huff has to drop quite a bit. And then Callahan, he's at his price point. I'm so glad I realized I wanted to double check here. So we're going to bring in Callahan. He's going to replace Gage Velasquez as our number 2 or 3. We're going to bring in Tenley Knight to get her spot back in the rotation at $5 million. And I think we were still looking to drop a little bit more for Nolan. I want to get him around 6'2". So let's go another round. And we're probably going to be bringing in... Jagger McMillan is available at second base, so we can look at what his cost is and what his chemistry is, because I can't remember. Escobar. Marty Maynard goes to the Heaters, was interested in him. You sons of bitches. Smash Nolan just gets signed by the Chompers. They go take him at 6'4". He's 37 years old. Why are you spending that much money on him? The fucking Chompers. And Pop Goodwin's gone. Shit, this whole thing's going to shit. I thought that Turtle Willis is hilarious at 96 speed with a name of Turtle. The whole division and conference is getting so strong, it's terrifying. All right, so now we have a problem because we just lost Nolan, who's crafty, which means we either need to bring in a spirited player, and actually I wanted to go look at Jagger here. Jagger would be 6'6", and he's competitive. That's too rich for my blood. So we could look at getting Reese Howell here and bringing him in to keep crafty, or we could just keep Mark McKenzie, who can play second base. In the bullpen, we still need another pitcher. This could now be Les Christensen, but if we do less, then that means that I don't know what we're doing. South is not a bad option either, and he's cheaper than Nolan. If we stay with crafty, we could also just drop a bunch of money, save a bunch of money by bringing in Brew Buckley, who we were looking at. We brought in for like a half a moment for us last year. He's barely played, and that would probably be what would happen with him on our team, but I never trust our AI. There's Nugget Contreras. He used to be good. All right. I have to reevaluate what I was doing before. So we were talking about getting... I have to actually type this in now because I'm losing track already. So if we bring in Graham Huff and we bring him in at the 7-6 that Get Wrecked is getting paid, that would move him down. That would be Huff, is Crafty. Let's say 7-6. We make that move, and we have to get rid of Nolan here because we just lost him. So what do we have here? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're good on competitive. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we would need a spirited player, right? Yeah. And then Crafty is at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So yeah, this reliever has to be spirited, or if we wanted to bring in Alejandro Paul to replace Mark McKenzie. We'd be spending a little bit more. We'd get a better hitter, and overall a better fielder, but much slower. I don't think we really need to worry about the speed, and he could be a spot starter at shortstop as well, which would be nice to be able to, like, if we really wanted to, we could like have someone shift over to short and then have Pork play third if like Royal Finley is really bad and Christian Black, we don't want to have him starting. We could do that route as well. And keep Dennis as short. So we would have some flexibility if we would go with Paul. Better hitter too, so I'd feel a little bit more confident with him in the lineup if we needed him. So if we were to do that route, and what we would probably need to bring him in right now. So McKenzie would be, instead of 1.5, we'd be spending about 2.9 for this move. And that would be spirited. So we'd have, we actually have a good amount of money here. I kind of want to keep McKenzie here because he's cheaper. And instead, we could potentially upgrade from Trampleson if there was a spirited outfielder like Ruben Baldwin would be interesting. Now, I believe Mad can play all three outfield spots, right? Yeah, so he could flex over to right field if we needed to, or even in center field. But this would give us an option to consider. I liked Ruben Baldwin, and he is just 1.1 million more than Demi Trampleson. So if we were to make this move, we lose the Steeler trade, and we lose actually, she can only play right field. Baldwin can play first, so that's another first base option. We lose a lot of outfield flexibility. It would be Mann, and it would be Price that could play the outfield positions, and that's pretty much it. Although Corona can go to right if needed, and then center field would be Price and Huff and Mad. But this is a pretty much on par same hitter, a slight downgrade in every way, and we're paying more for that. But we get better traits because we actually be getting contact versus lefties and cannon arm, which is a much stronger option in left field.
See the 3 Ps at Colonial Plaza tonight.
I'm interested in this. So that would be a spirited for crafty move. See, we have Ophelia Hester. No, thank you. Emily Fan plays all outfield positions. Would have bad jumps, which isn't great, but 23 years old, so there's room here. That'd be a big upcharge there. No to Choi, no to Jaden Arkansas, and no to Adelina Swingins. Who did we just bring in? Base is our competitive. Swingins actually improved quite a bit. She can play all outfield positions. Actually, if we get her down to the 3.9, she'd be essentially the same thing as Demi, but a year younger and more flexible with all outfield positions. Look at that. Better fielder and speed, slightly weaker arm, weaker hitter, and no stealer trait. I will look at this one if she gets down to the 3.9. Starting pitcher options. We could go with Painter here. Who would we replace? Would be Tenley Knight is our only option to replace there. That's crafty. Or Wankerstein, and we're not getting rid of Wankerstein. In the bullpen, is he, yeah, that's a starter. Wait, hold on. Is he young? 29. Never mind. So I think our option in the bullpen would be Les Christensen. Zoner's 28. Dubs is 38. It's either Christensen or actually we have a few here. So we have Carter, but he has Choker and Meltdown. Don't like that. Braylon Jackman is walk prone, would be tier 3. No, thank you, and 39 years old. So Christensen or Zoner are our options, and Zoner would give us a lefty again. And much cheaper. And we'd have a lot more room to make a potential upgraded move as well. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to, if we just bring in the spirited starting pitcher, Emmett Zoner here. You know what? I'm going to wait for Les Christensen to get down to 4, because I think having Rally Stopper is much more valuable. And 28 years old, lefty, I don't think it'll matter that much. We have Ellen Booth and we have Horse Mustard. They'll be able to, and Quincy Healthy, so we'll be fine. So I think I like Les Christensen here. Actually, I'll bring in Zoner right now as a placeholder, and then we'll decide on Les Christensen later. So this will at least have us put this guy in here. So let me just put this in. And what was he? He was 3.9. That's fine with me. So now, assuming we get Huff at 7.6, we have about 5.9 million to work with. I'm kind of interested in the all-in aspect of this season. Well, I'll have to do like a mock lineup here in just a second too. And what time do we have left? Okay, we're okay on time. Sorry, I'm running a little long here in this video, but I was worried that we were going to run into some issues. So we'll hold off on Paul right now. I am still potentially interested in bringing in Royce Howell to replace McKenzie. That would just be a 1-for-1 chemistry-wise, but we'd spend a little bit more to do that, and I think it's interesting to do that. Oh, I wanted to look at if we were to go with Baldwin instead of Trampelson. Baldwin's 28. If we were to do that, we need a crafty pitcher. So it'd be Split Stevens, who I'm not doing with low accuracy and crossed up. That's too much of a risk. There's Leonard South. I'm not a big fan of that one. And then there's Brew Buckley. I'm not opposed to doing Brew at 1.7 million. He's super cheap, and he's 25, so there might be a little bit of natural development there. But I think if we were going to do that one, I'd have to probably pull the trigger on Baldwin now. So I like him more than I like Trampelson. And then the thing is, I'd go right back to bringing in, if I end up bringing in Swingins here, then I go right back to the well of switching back to another crafty player and spirited player, the flip-flop there. So I'm going to wait. And out of curiosity, McBiddles is spirited just for a 1-for-1. I don't think we'll do that at all.
We've got tickets for the finals
no.
up for
Okay.
grabs. Just
No.
be
Okay.
the,
Let's go one more round here. Let's see what happens. All right, so we have...
minutes and they're yours. And if we don't get enough callers,
All right.
I guess I'll just have to hold on to
This
these
has
for
been such a
myself.
weird off-season. Looking for notable things here. Okay. We have a minute before we can get to Huff. He's way too expensive right now, so we have to wait a little bit to spend or to get him to the 7.6 to get rid of Get Wrecked. Swingin's getting close to the 3.9, and I wanted to put a star on Christensen. If he gets down to the 3.9 that we're paying for Zoner, then we'll make a decision at that point. All right, next round. I probably need to make a move on one of these other players if I want them. Mackay goes at 6-3 to Platypi, who are now our rivals because they beat us. Sarai and Ware go to the Rakers. Okay. Need to restart this game in a minute here or after this video, because I am starting to see some lag. So Baldwin at 4.8. I kind of like him. I hate that he can only play first base. Let's look at our lineup right now. So we have Huff, who can play center field or first base. Mahoney could be our DH. So Mahoney's our DH. We have Huff at first base. We have Shoei at second. We have Finley at third. And we have Guevara at short. In left field, we have Colin Mad. We have center fielder Zeke Price. And then in right field right now, we have Demi Trampelson. We know what we get out of Demi. She had her best year for us because she got the most starts this time. 286 average, 2 doubles and 6 singles. She stole 4 bases but got caught stealing twice. It was 2 pickoffs. And in the playoffs, she did fine for us but got caught stealing once as well. All singles there, which is fine. She stole 3 bases in the playoffs, which is pretty good. But if we go the other route, so then we'd have Colin Mad moving to right field. Not the greatest right field option. If we do that, then we could bring in Ruben Baldwin to play left field. Serviceable speed, tier 3 cannon arm. Would have tier 3 contact versus lefties, so his contact goes up to 74 against lefties. And he can also cover first base when needed as well. So that would flex Mad over to right field. It isn't the worst thing in the world. If we were to go with Annalena Swingins, she ends up being our starting right fielder instead of Trampelson. And I definitely feel less inclined to have her if she's a starter. She needs to be a backup option. She'd be a good backup, but not a starter. And if we were to bring in Goodwin, what's his name? Baldwin. If we were to bring in Baldwin, we need to go to a crafty reliever, which we could look to bring in Rivas, but we're going to have to pay him way more to bring him back now because we let him go already. It'd be Brew Buckley. South is a righty. We'd be paying a lot more for him. If we have Brew Buckley in our bullpen, that puts a little bit more pressure on Ezra Wong to be our fourth option, which I think he's held his own when we've turned to him, and we would essentially be expecting no options for Brew to play at all. I kind of like bringing in Baldwin. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to get rid of Zoner here. We're going to bring in Brew Buckley. Puts us at 8.2. We are going to, make our corresponding move. We're not going to bring in Paul. Actually, we were looking at bringing in Howell, which we still can do in just a second as well. We're going to bring in Baldwin to replace Trampelson. And then our last move is going to be Get Wrecked will be replaced by... Yeah, I'm fine with this move. Yeah, okay. And now we're just waiting for Graham to get down to 7.6, which is where I probably could get him at 8 and be fine with it too. But him being our starting center fielder, having RBI hero in the mix as well, at least it gives us as much of, is not, if not better, than what we got out. Oh, he had a great year for the Swoops. He didn't end up being an all-star last year, did he? And Swoops had, oh yeah, he was an all-star last year. I was just about to say, that's funny. So he was a first-time all-star for the Swoops last year. I mean, I'm not chasing that anymore, but it's something to consider. And if we were to bring him in for Get Wrecked, we lose the power, but we get some contact there, +9, not much. We lose a little bit of speed, we get the fielding, and we lose a lot of arm, which is unfortunate, but he'll be our primary first baseman most of the time, I think, anyways, so not a big deal. We do lose clutch, which didn't matter. Get Wrecked couldn't be clutch anyways, and we will lose the infield outfield flexibility from him, but we never had him outside of anywhere in left except for left field, so I don't think that matters too much. So I will do a quick double check here that I'm not feeling too biased in my decisions here. 289, 341, 355, and then 237, but I had 3 home runs last year. 13 strikeouts, 9 strikeouts, 9 strikeouts. He only struck out 3 times the year prior. That was his best year by far, but only 1 home run and 5 RBIs. Yeah, I don't like this. It's too inconsistent for me. We're going to get rid of him. All right, so we'll go a couple of rounds here. I'm going to actually check in just a second that I don't forget anybody. Also, Neuro Muscles, or Wrestles here, could be an option with Stimulated. All right.
My daddy used to say, when it comes to plumbing,
Alejandro Paul just got signed.
Call crack team plumbers and enjoy
Okay.
the show.
And who is this?
here weather report
Noodle
says
Arm,
there's nothing but
Alexandra
beautiful sunshine out
Bird.
there today.
Okay. Who is this
And
other guy?
seeing as I'm in this dark, soundproof
Wrestles.
box,
Okay.
I'm inclined to just believe it. Okay, here we go.
Where are you at, Wrestles? He was an infielder, right? Did I just completely lose my mind? Oh, he's a reliever. What was... I did completely lose my mind. Yes, you can answer yes to that question. He's spirited. Okay, so he's down to 5.4. We already made the move to... We're just doing this back and forth thing. We'll keep an eye on him. He could replace Wong, no? Oh, he's crafty. Yeah, I mean, we could just keep doing this back and forth however long we want to do it, but I'll wait to make any other moves in the bullpen or the flip-flop until we can see what else might be going on. And I do want to put a star on... Where are you at? Oh, did Howell get signed already? Or no, he's right here. I actually think I might bring him in now. Slightly worse contact, better power, but way better speed or fielding and arm. Would have Dive Wizard, so he'd be a great defensive option up the middle for its short and third and second base. We'd have 5-7 left. And keep in mind, we're pretty much just making one more move, and it's just the one parallel of Huff to... I like this as a better candidate for us and covers second base better, I think. And also can spot at short. Okay, cool. So Graham is the last option that we need, the domino that we need to fall. All right, I skipped a couple of rounds there. Anybody else of note? Because I need to speed this up a little bit. Okay, nothing there. All right, let's check and see. Graham is at 8-8, so we're almost there. I don't know if we're gonna get there by the end of this. Holden finally goes, and he's gonna go to the Swordfish. They make a few moves there. And Rhodes, okay. Let's check. I don't know if we're even gonna get him before we get to the end of the... He's at 8-3 now. we just had Boo Boo Wade get dropped, but she has way too low a contact. And a couple of options there that I'm not interested. All right, where are you at? Huff, 7-9. I'm going to go one more round. Rivas goes to the Nocturnals. They bring in Baron. And Repo Roberson goes to the Nocturnals as well. And this is going to do it. I'm going to just pull him in now. Huff will replace Get Wrecked. Everyone bid adieu to Amos Get Wrecked. He has been on the team for longer than I would have liked to admit, and he just never really put it together. So we're going to go a different route, and we'll see if it works. Huff gets brought in, former All-Star, Tier 3 RBI hero on the team. I'm happy about it. And that should be it. So we'll... Man, this team looks really, really shaky to me. Especially the catching position has me really worried. And there's really no options here. No thank you, Boo Boo Wade. And Patrick Beal still out there. It's a shame. All right, let's go ahead and finish up the last of the offseason here. I'll maybe do a quick glance through, just due to time I won't do it right now, but I'll peek at things before we get into the next video. But let's set the lineup for your Season 5 Tundras, who just went to the championship series but lost against the Platypi. And right out of the gate, we're facing off against the Cutters. Against our former pitcher, Gabriella Potter. Let's take a look at the starting lineup here. Of course, we put Mahoney at DH, Guevara short, Price in center, Mad in no. I want Base to at least get the first start at catcher. Oh, shit. That doesn't look good. That's more of a decrease than I expected from him and behind the plate. It's still better offensively than what we're getting out of Bridges. And then we'll put Baldwin in left field here. All right, everyone else is in the right spot. So let's just move everyone around. I think leadoff man this year. Do we have any speed that we can consider? Colin Mad, not bad. Actually, I might look to do that route. Dennis Shoei, Chandler Base, the catcher. Getting on with Distractor? Yeah, let's actually try that. So him, then I like Zeke Price in the 2 spot. Poor Guevara gets, of course, the natural bump to third. Is Potter a lefty or a righty? She's a righty, so that means Mad will be getting his power versus righty trait boost. Then we have Dennis Shoei in the 5 spot. And honestly, the rest of this lineup doesn't look too bad. I'm going to put the lineup as is right here. So no contact boost for Ruben Baldwin. He's going to be at the bottom of our lineup. So here's your starting lineup. Chandler Base, our right fielder, would be our starting catcher. Weaker behind the plate, but a decent contact and speed option. Zeke Price, of course, the centerpiece of our offense, will be in the number 2 spot in center. Then we have Port Guevara, the reigning rookie of the year, will be in the 3 spot, followed by a new rookie, Colin Mad, will be in right field for us. We have Dennis Shoei back on the team at second base in the 5th spot. Then Graham Huff, who is a former All-Star, will be in the 6th spot. We have Leonidas Mahoney, who will be a rookie starting at DH for us. We'll have Royal Finley back on the team. And then we'll have Ruben Baldwin, who is not a rookie, will be in left field for us with cannon arm and contact versus lefties when it's activated. On the bench, we have Christian Black, as always. We have now Royce Howell, who will be our middle infield defensive option. We have Anya Corona for the outfield, and then we have Aliva Bridges with Tier 3 RBI hero. So the bench is pretty weak offensively. We have a lot of good defense over there. Pitching-wise, we're going to start with Wankerstein. He's our ace again this year. We'll have McBiddles and Callahan as your 2 and 3. I still haven't decided what I want to do there. And then Tenley Knight rounding out as our number 4. In the bullpen, Horse Mustard will be one of our ace relievers, along with Ellen Booth. We have Quincy Healthy again Ezra Wong, and Brew Buckley. Hopefully he never starts. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment down below what you think about this team. We'll see you all next time. Bye, everybody.